It's ORRION online. That's Orion Online. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we're here for another round of Homeboy Talk. Let's make some moves. And I want to introduce my homeboy here.
If you can hear what the blurs are saying, welcome to another new exciting episode of Homeboy Talk. My name is Deon Donovan, creator of Title Page Comics, and let's get the show on the road.
All right, so Capcom has been doing some incredible things lately, and they also been doing some questionable things lately. With all their IPs is back in the mix. We've got Devil May Cry, we've got Resident Evil, which is now called Resident Evil Village, and Monster Hunter, their biggest money-making franchise going on right now. It's also got a movie too. Yeah, you know, blowing up now. It's blowing up, but yeah, they worked out a deal, and Nintendo's getting 2 Monster Hunter games. Monster Hunter is pretty much was one of the returning IPs that got that was on PlayStation, and Monster Hunter World sold millions. Made millions, and now they're bringing it back to the Nintendo, and it's about to do the same thing with this new Monster Hunter. Now they still practicing the same business practice with Resident Evil, because Resident Evil 7, they changed the direction to that game. It was a hit, so they're bringing that same spirit back to Resident Evil 8 for Resident Evil Village. And Devil May Cry was a great addition too, because that was a franchise that was questionable with DMC. It came out, it was trash, and fans hated it, so they rebooted that shit and they brought it back with Devil May Cry 5, and it was a hit, which also made millions. Knocked it out the park. But let's talk about the shortcomings, because you've also got Marvel's Capcom Infinite. Gutter trash. I remember being at the PlayStation Experience that was being shown in AMC theaters at the time, and seeing that the rumors was real. I said, oh shit, Marvel's Capcom 4 is going to be a thing. Then when they announced it, it was like Marvel's Capcom Infinite. I said, this is going to be fire. This is going to be dope. As soon as they made some announcements and they showed some gameplay, they done without the 3v3 and brought it down to 2v2, and they introduced the game mechanics, you know. So I was like, all right, it's been a while since I've seen the game mechanics, you know, the Infinity games. You guys are not familiar, but yeah, they brought that back in place of a third fighter, you know. And on top of that, their choice of the roster was interesting, but also questionable at the same time. You know, I like the introduction of the Black Panther, and they also brought Captain Marvel, these are characters that's never been in Marvel's Capcom's history at all, but they brought them to the light. And so you got some returning characters too. But however, that game sold like trash. I remember I beat that game and I was like, all right, I uninstalled it so fast. I bought that digitally, and I said, I beat it. I didn't even want to compete. I didn't want to do any tournaments with that shit. It was uninstalled so fast.
Yeah, that game had a real... I mean, I know it has its dedicated base out there who love it and cherish it, but for the majority of us was very underwhelmed with the game. I didn't even get past the story mode. There was the cinematics, and nothing was really... I played a few online matches, played a couple local friends, and then that was it. And then, like you said, uninstall.
Uninstalled. It was cheesy, very, very cheesy. Then you've also had... All right, well, Mega Man 11 is not a shortcoming. It was a pretty good game. It was a solid game at that. But they brought back the Mega Man franchise with this collection. So you had the Mega Man Collection, Legacy Collection 1 and 2. Then you got the Mega Man X Legacy Collection of 1 and 2. Then you got another a Mega Man Zero X collection that came out. So you would thought that with the outcry of wanting a Mega Man to come back, you gave us Mega Man 11, but we're still missing certain franchises out of the Mega Man series. We were waiting for a Mega Man Legends Legacy Collection, and we're also waiting for for all the obscure stuff that was out for Mega Man too. You know, I mean, you got Trombone as well. You know, that was probably the same mechanic as the Mega Man Legacy. Uh,
Network for the handheld Game Boy Advance games.
yeah, you
Had
did.
fan base out there a little bit.
Yeah, we can go with a Battle Network, Mega Man Battle Network. There's a lot of things that they could have done with Mega Man, but at the same time, what happened to the Legacy afterwards? Because as of right now, we're also waiting for our Mega Man X9, which is missing. You know, but you know, Capcom they did their best. Sometimes it was a hit, sometimes it was a miss. But you know, what we want to talk about now is what we would like to see return, because here it is. We got the PlayStation 5 and we got the Xbox Series X and S, and the Switch is getting ready to become Pro in 2021. So we know, well, hopefully, you know, but we would like, these are the things that we would like to list off, and hopefully what Capcom would do in the future. But I'm just gonna go off a few things off the top of my head. I don't have anything in my notes, but off the top of my head, I definitely want to see a Mega Man X9. I definitely like to see the returning of Marvel vs. Capcom along with X-Men, because this was missing for the longest time, was the X-Men. But I want a full-on legacy collection of Marvel vs. Capcom and X-Men, even add Marvel superheroes and Children's Atoms. I want that whole entire thing, all the way up to Marvel vs. Capcom 2, to be returned to be something you could purchase as a bundle in next gen consoles, or in current gen. Well, technically it is current gen now, but at least in previous gen consoles as well. You know, and also it'd be interesting to see that being available on the Switch. You know, hell, there's some things I feel like that the Switch needed to have. Like, you can give us Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 on the Switch, which would be great. You know, there's a couple of things that, you know, the Switch would probably kind of need. Outside of Capcom, I felt like the Switch could have used Tekken 7, you know, but it wasn't going to give that to them, you know.
Yeah, I don't think the Switch could handle it.
Yeah, I mean, they can downscale it, but, you know, but back to Capcom, yeah, Ultimate vs. Marvel vs. Capcom. Hell, you could bring that shit game Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite in there too. Why not? You know,
Sure.
people will buy it, I guess. You know.
Put the whole thing in there, include that measly season 1 DLC in there.
Yeah.
Don't skip out.
Yeah. Other than that, Capcom, my biggest thing was I was under the impression when Street Fighter V was around that they were gonna come back with Darkstalkers with the same artwork,
Ooh, Darkstalker.
with with the same mechanics and everything else. That's what I thought that Dark was gonna happen. But what did they do with Darkstalkers? You want to know what they did with it?
Huh?
You want to know what they did with Darkstalkers?
What do they do with Darkstalkers?
They turned them into skins for Street Fighter V.
Oh yeah, they did do that.
And I was like, why waste all that time making a skin for Street Fighter characters when you can make when you could do a whole new IP to be part of the esports industry and stuff like that? Would it be dope when back when Evil was hot? Would it be dope to have not just one, not just two, but even a third IP, Darkstalkers, to be a part of the mix as another returning IP? You know, hell, you know, it had to be dope. You know, one of my personal choice was Rival Schools, a returning of Rival Schools. If he was going to give us Rival Schools at all as a returning game, you could at least brought back the first Rival Schools and Project Justice. You know, there's a small I heard there is a niche for that game, but there is a demand for it too. You know, but those are the games that I personally wanted to see come back in the Capcom industry. So with Mega Man X9, Darkstalkers, Rival Schools, and a whole collection of Marvel vs. Capcom, I would love to see come back to the fold. But what did you have in mind for Capcom?
Gotcha, man. Well, for this current gen, Capcom has been pretty much safe with Monster Hunter and Resident Evil and Devil May Cry. And they have, like you said, they have not been digging deep into their catalog of characters and IPs and franchises that should get some limelight. And instead of just, I know they're comfortable milking the three series that they have, but for the next generation, definitely I think this needs to come back. When you have a game like Ghost of Tsushima out right now, when you have all these other previous kind of ninja titles that came out as well, Capcom needs to bring back Onimusha. Onimusha with the photorealism of the new next gen with the PS5 and Xbox Series S and X. I think that would be phenomenal. And it would be cool to see if Japan can answer that American-made game of Ghost of Tsushima and see if Capcom can outdo them in that regard. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you're gonna really, you did a damn good job, but you're really gonna challenge us to our own culture a little bit, like. And we started this game, not they didn't start, but we kind of mastered this gaming shit. And all right, we got a rebuttal for your ass. Like, I think Onimusha would be cool, man. Bring back 𝐏𝐶𝐃, I believe. I think Onimusha would be dope. Darkstalkers, like you said. Capcom Fighters is just lacking right now. I know Street Fighter V has been out for like 4 years now. 4 or 5 years?
Since the launch of the PlayStation 4.
Since the launch of the PlayStation 4? I mean, I know the fighting game community, they seem like they're ready for 6. Seems like they've been ready for 6. I know someone like, oh, great, a new season deal of DLC, and others just like, I just want this to stop. Between the skins and the stages, and it's profitable. They're making money off all the skins and all this other extra shit in the esports league, and the pool, the money in the pools are too big to deny for anyone to just outright stop playing the game. But I think a lot more people are looking forward to Street Fighter 6 than what has transpired with Street Fighter 5. I would like to see Street Fighter 6 kind of return to form, I guess. Because 5, just for whatever reason, it's just a misfire. It's just not, especially in this fighting game era. Street Fighter is on a low point. You got Tekken on the uprise, Tekken the top dog. You got Super Smash pounding his chest saying we're a fighting game, and we're in that fighting game stratosphere. And then you got games that show heart, like Dragon Ball FighterZ, which really took the energy and the heart of what the Marvel vs. Capcom was and applied it to Dragon Ball Z. And now that is the tag team 2D fighter right now, and it's killing it. And hell, even if you want to include Guilty Gear and BlazBlue. So I mean, Capcom has lost that passion for their fighters, and it's just, and also how they're getting out crossovered by Tekken and out crossovered by Smash and out crossovered by Soul Calibur. And it's like, damn, y'all pioneered the crossover shit, and now you guys are abysmal with it. So Street Fighter 6 I would like to see Street Fighter return to form with that. Also, I think with Sega, they did Streets of Rage 4. And that was fun. The 2D animations bring that the side scroller brawler, 3-4 players. That was a good game. That was a good fun game. I think Capcom should try to bring back, I know it's niche, but like Final Fight or Captain Commando. You know what I'm saying? I think it'd be really dope for them to answer that and do like a fun 2D sprite animated side-scrolling game. And then 2 to 3 to 4 players, and everyone have a good time with that. But I think I'm mostly interested in the 2D, having the 2D era come back when you got a game like Ghouls and Ghosts. You know what I'm saying? With King Arthur. I think that would be cool. And a Pixar, can you imagine like a Pixar quality animation to that and style in the Ghouls and Ghosts world, like cemeteries and haunted forests and shit like that. I think that would be like a really fun, quirky idea, and maybe challenge Mario a little bit, or challenge Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter on those platformers on PlayStation 5. I think that would be a really cool addition. Beautiful Joe to come back would be kind of sick as well. I mean, Capcom is sitting on a lot of IPs, man, and they just keep them in the closet and hide it. And it's like, damn, like, remember when Capcom used to care? And now they just, I mean, Resident Evil's back, and it's good. you know. And Devil May Cry, they brought the heat back with 5, but it almost just seems like, okay, they've always milked their shit, but now it just seems like they're milking less, and they're milking, like, if that makes sense, they're milking less IPs, and they're only milking on 2 to 3 or 4 franchises now that they know that are hitting. And it's just like, damn, I wish Capcom would bring that variety back. And they used to have a plethora of different games of all different genres constantly throughout the year, and that game library keeps shrinking and shrinking. I know game development gets more expensive, and you know, I know the gaming industry is different, but when you have the outlet like a Nintendo Switch with their consoles and how big of a console that is in Japan, you mean to tell me you can't do some 2D Darkstalkers type shit on that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Digital release only? Like, you telling me you can't do some remastering of some of these games and putting it on the Switch, or making it like Streets of Rage 4? Like, come on now, people. Like, Capcom is so cheap, they only do cell shading. They don't want to do any hand-drawn animations now. It's like, how Sega was able to accomplish it, obviously, so how the fuck can you not accomplish it? And for years, I think that's one of the biggest, I think that would be one of the biggest moves they can make to return to form, either with Street Fighter 6 or Marvel vs. Capcom, the next iteration of that. If they were to go back to 2D hand-drawn sprites and animation, and take on Arc Systems, and take on BlazBlue and your Dragon Ball fighters, because Dragon Ball, they're flexing, they're stunting on Capcom. They took the wind, they knocked the wind out of them. And you know, for years now, they've knocked the wind out of them with their beautiful games of Guilty Gear, BlazBlue, and now Dragon Ball Fighters, bringing that fast arcade gameplay to these fighting games, and it's over the top, and the specials are so cool, and the cinematic now, and all the fun you used to have on the Capcom fighting game series was transferred over to these other games. So I really believe that for this next gen, if they were to go back to 2D animation, 2D sprites, and try to basically say, hey, look, we pioneered this shit, and we're going to come back, and we're going to fucking show you guys what's up. Because they got their ass beat this gen in terms of fighters. They got their ass whooped. I mean, I know Street Fighter 5, I think out of respect and quality, they got their ass whooped. And I think the PS5 and this next era would be cool to see them have a return to form and showcase why they were, for a certain amount of time, the king of fighters in this shit. What do you got to say about that?
To piggyback off what you just talked about Street Fighter 6, the reason why we haven't gotten Street Fighter 6 for the PS5 just yet, and I don't know if this is going to still be a Sony exclusive. It feels like it is going to be, because, you know, they funded Street Fighter 5 to make sure it stayed on the PlayStation 4, which was a smart move, because that was, you know, till this day, Xbox is still lacking their own IP fighters, you know, except for Killer Instinct, but that dwindled out, you know, and Street Fighter 5 still remained in the evil spot. But Street Fighter 6 was delayed because of transitioning of power, you know. They had, you know, the directors have changed, you know, where, you know, they're trying to get back to the charm of Street Fighter, because Yoshi Ono have left Capcom, or they asked Yoshi Ono to resign from Capcom. So that's the reason why we're getting a season 5 of Street Fighter 5, because it's to delay the production of Street Fighter 6. Because normally we would have seen, probably around like E3 of this year, or possibly the Gaming Awards this year, stuff like that, we normally will see a small little tidbit of Street Fighter 6, but it's getting delayed right now. And we probably will not see Street Fighter 6 till probably 2022, possibly, you know. That's a possible chance. But yeah, man, Street Fighter 5, you know, they've added all these new DLC characters, stuff like that, which is now Dan is one of them and stuff. They added one of my homegirls from rival schools. They added Akira, which is now has got me excited to buy the new season 5. And then other than that, with with Capcom dropping a ball on the 3v3 pioneering of them pioneering that specific style of fighting. Yeah, they dropped the ball, and it took Arc Systems to go ahead and show them how it's done again. With Dragon Ball Fighters, they got the 3v3 mechanics, and they got it at the almost identical to the animation of the show. On top of that, it's familiar characters where a lot of people around the world do know about, and the fighting systems, it's pretty simple to learn. You spend enough time in and stuff like that, you be able to chain in a combo pretty well. Unlike how it's kind of challenging in Marvel's Capcom 2, and has been simplified in Marvel's Capcom 3. And now Dragon Ball Fighters has simplified it. But another game that managed to go ahead and take the crown too, along with Dragon Ball Fighters, is another childhood franchise that came out. Power Rangers had to come out with a 3v3 to show them how it's done. So imagine two of our childhood greats come in and said, "Oh, Marvel, you having a hard time there? All right, Dragon Ball and Power Rangers will show you how it's done." And Power Rangers, never have I ever thought that I would see Power Rangers in the gaming industry that heavy. We're talking esports quality gaming for Power Rangers.
I mean, they got Justin Wong to help market
Yes.
and test it.
Right. And I'm sitting there, I was like, all right, it's good enough to hear about Power Rangers being on a talking point to a lot of people because of the comic books and how it's still doing pretty well on TV. But in gaming, that's a rare occurrence because Power Rangers didn't have a great history of good games.
Nah, they're just time capsules of that Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis era, and that's about it.
They try to come back with a beat 'em up, and that wasn't it, Chief. It wasn't it. But then they come up with a fighting game and stuff like that, pretty much taking the same properties from a smartphone game of Power Rangers Legacy Wars, and taking those same, character models and putting it into a 3v3 fighting game, and it was a hit. I'm like, okay, this is interesting, So it took two of our childhood franchises to show how Capcom how it was done, Now, my biggest thing, it's some more returning franchises should have came back and should probably stayed, should have came out of the Wii and went to the Switch. Tatsunoko versus Capcom.
Oh, yeah, dude.
That should have came to the Switch. It should still come to the Switch. Capcom can go ahead and, I understand, we had this conversation before about licenses and stuff like that, but to regain that license for Tatsunoko to bring that to the Switch, I would love to see, because nobody has those controllers anymore. Those Wii controllers, those Wii Pro controllers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nobody fucks with that. But it will work very well in a Switch right now. Like with the Pro controllers, and you got fight sticks, compatible fight sticks along with that, and there's a plethora of other controllers you could use. Tatsunoko vs. Capcom will work very, very well.
The game would definitely have a resurgence. There would be an immediate jump of people who would be, the Switch compared to Wii U sales. Come on now. And then plus, it's accessible. Like you said, Pro Controller, arcade sticks. People would immediately have an interest now in playing the game rather than just like ignoring it because it's on the Wii U. And it's like, okay, it's good, but it's on the Wii U. So, who cares?
If they would have took it off, they would have took. If they would have renewed the license, and you don't even have to keep it on. You could take it off the Nintendo platform and put it on everything. Tatsunoko vs. Capcom on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, on Xbox Series X, and then PlayStation 5. Put it around there. Another returning franchise returning crossover fighting game that deserves a collection is SNK vs. Capcom. I don't understand what the fuck happened. SNK is still in good. Is still alive and well, doing really, really good with the King of Fighters, doing very good with Samurai Showdown. So, and Samurai Showdown's got the same art as Street Fighter V. You're telling me right now these two can't come back together again and work on a legacy collection for SNK versus Capcom. We're all still demanding a SNK versus Capcom 3. And their art style is almost looking just similar, you know?
We got in Tekken 7, Geese versus Akuma, and that was
Yeah.
it.
I mean, come on now. Now, it's happening twice already. You just mentioned it. Tekken, you've got Geese and Akuma. Smash Brothers, you got Terry and Ryu and Ken.
Oh, yeah. How are these other companies getting closer than... What's
Right,
going on
so
here?
it's like Capcom, SNK, sit your ass down in the conference room, shake hands, bow to each other, whatever the fuck you need to do. Let's get a legacy collection started. Let's go. Because SNK's got a legacy collection already. They got a legacy collection of their own too. Let's put these two motherfuckers together and get the SNK collection get ready to go. You know, the SNK and Capcom collection. Because now you got a game out there. There's another fighting game out there called Fighting Layers, stuff like that, which was taken from the Street Fighter EX series and stuff, which was pretty good. But now that they're coming back to the fold, and then feature the SNK character in there, you know. So you got Terry that's in Fighting Layers. You know, what's it gonna take to get Street Fighter back with Fighting Layers again? You know, so take those characters that was actually Street Fighter EX, and you take, you know, and you will let the license out your character. You don't have to. Capcom doesn't have to do shit. Just license your characters. You allowed Ryu and Ken to go to the Smash Brothers. You allowed Akuma go to Tekken. You know. Capcom, and they put Ryu and Sakura in Monster Hunter. You know.
Yeah.
You know. They're letting their IPs go anywhere they want. Ryu is probably the only motherfucker I know that's been to every damn company, you know, and fought. You know.
Yeah, I mean, come on. We got Street Fighter and Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Street Fighter and Power Rangers combining now? Like,
Dude, and that was another thing that I was gonna bring up. What's it gonna take for Street Fighter versus Power Rangers? Because it's there.
Might as well do it.
If Street Fighter doesn't even have to design the character model, just give it to fucking Enway and let them design it. Give us Ryu, give us Ken, give us Chun-Li, give us Guile, give us Sakura, give us at least 8 to go over to the Power Ranger side and have a crossover and stuff. Be dope. If not, let the fans have at it and make damn fan models of a Morphin. Like, come on now, we're waiting for Power Rangers Battle for the Grid to have the new Ryu Ranger and the Chun-Li Ranger to be in the game. It's coming. It's got to.
Yeah.
It's got to. It's got to. Another thing that we're still waiting on, and it's almost, I feel like 10 years in the waiting. Tekken versus Street Fighter.
man, that shit ain't never gonna.
Hold on now. Tekken.
They fucked it up.
Tekken has did it. They've expanded. I feel like that they're at their last string right now. Season 4 is like, all right, we did enough with Tekken. What can you do now? You got Kunimitsu in there. You got all the other characters. Personally, I don't main, but you got them all in these season passes. I have them there.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, what's your next thing? I mean, are you gonna take a break? I mean, Namco gave us Tekken 7 and they gave us Soul Calibur 6. What can they work on next? Maybe it's that time, man. It's all right, man. Let's go ahead and bridge that gap, man. Street Fighter already did their shit with Street Fighter versus Tekken. Now it's time for Tekken cross Street Fighter, and they figured out that 3D mechanic where Akuma actually fits very well in a Tekken world.
I would actually like to see that matchup for the next generation, because we know NetherRealm Studios is going to bring the heat with Injustice 3.
Yeah.
They already did with Injustice 2, and they did with Mortal Kombat 11. Those games are like the best-looking fighting games of all time. And who's going to compete with that in the next gen? I think what you said is correct. I think Namco, with a Tekken versus Street Fighter 3D, would be highly competitive against NetherRealm Studios in this next generation. If Capcom would allow it to happen, and if Namco was open to make it happen of a crossover, because I think that'd be killer with the photorealism again, graphics, and combining that 3D elements. They made it work with 7. I think they can transfer over a lot of these characters now easier than they had before. So I think that would be a really cool thing for this next gen, man. And I think they're sleeping on some money with that, almost to the point where that one might even have a reverse resurgence for Street Fighter 6. Have that one come out first and have Street Fighter 6 come out after that, and man, you got a good 1-2 punch there for the next gen.
Now, yeah, so we just basically talked about returning IPs and stuff like that, man. But other than that, well, what do you think Capcom should do to push the envelope this time? Because, you know, they've done very well with the crossover and stuff like that, you know. Even some of their I guess Easter eggs you see in Devil May Cry, one's using the Mega Buster in the game, you know. So what do Capcom need to do to? I mean, they're doing pretty well. They ain't lost money, you know. They you know, I mean, they're not losing money, like, because I understand this is a Japanese company, because you got Konami's just out, just straight off. They're done. They're focusing on pachinko and gyms and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Namco, they're working on their anime IPs. They don't give a fuck about anything else, you know. They're doing pretty well. I guess they're doing pretty well on the IP. I don't know about Jump Force stuff like that. I ignore that game. I don't know what that is, you know. But that doesn't mean that, you know, Namco's not ignoring, because, you know, they hit gold with Dragon Ball Fighters, working with ARCs. Now, then you got SNK. Like I said, they brought back King of Fighters and the returning IP of Samurai Showdown, you know. So I was like, all right. Then what do we got? Who else do we got going on that's in the fighting game world right now?
I mean, there was Skullgirls.
Yeah, you got the indies coming up with their fighting games and everything else, but
I mean, that's pretty indie though.
but what, you know, and then like you just mentioned, you got NetherRealms, you know, with Mortal Kombat really pushing the envelope with some Hollywood characters in the game now, and then you got Injustice featuring other superheroes from other, you know, they just featured Ninja Turtles. Capcom is going to have, I mean, granted, they're the pioneers of crossing over, you know. It's almost like they could feel themselves. It's like, we don't have to do shit. We don't have to cross over with anybody else, or they can keep on pushing the envelope and try to do more crossovers. My biggest thing is to say, you know, let Inoue do a Power Rangers versus Street Fighter, you know, or they can go back with fighting layers and stuff like that, or they can go and do a completely whole new. They can do something completely new, you know. There was a smartphone of SNK versus WWE, you know. That pushed that's called pushing the envelope right there, you know. I mean, it would have been great as a actual like fighting game, you know, but they have it as a, I don't know, RPG type shit, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, Capcom wouldn't be right to tackle WWE. We all know NetherRealm Studios would be the pure people to bring a WWE fighting game to life, unfortunately.
He tried that.
Back in the day, they had like the WrestleMania game, and it was like Mortal Kombat gameplay with the digitized graphics.
Yeah, it was WWE superstars in like a more Injustice type, like, because you had John Cena that looked like a fucking superhero, Superman type shit, and you had a character named Paige that's got this gothic look. But yeah, it was a smartphone game where it was a so they have WWE that embodied like the Injustice look, you know. But Capcom, man, it's one of the companies that should, if they want to come back into the fighting game rings and stuff like that, they need to rather let the IPs go to other fighting games. My biggest thought is, it probably wouldn't make sense, because I'm thinking about other things that could fuck up Capcom. Like, for example, Virtual Fighter is getting ready to come back.
Yeah.
So what's it going to take for Virtual Fighter and Dead or Alive to do a crossover? What could fuck up the money for Capcom? What's it going to take for, what's another fighting game out there? another 3D fighting game.
Soul Calibur.
They've got some guest characters that's crossover with them and stuff like that, but like they could take in some Dynasty Wars if they wanted to, or Monster Hunter if they wanted to. Capcom can give them Monster Hunter characters if they really wanted to. But yeah, man, like hell, Capcom could really, really go above and beyond if they wanted to and have Capcom versus Final Fantasy, Square Enix.
Okay.
That would push the envelope. It might be too daring, but it's a try.
Yeah, honestly, they could just push it forward. Fuck that. Just do Capcom versus Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
Incorporate Final Fantasy and Disney, put them in a fighting game together, and voila. I mean, with hand-drawn sprites, I think that would get people really pumped up. Kingdom Hearts, number 3, I know, got problems, whatever, but Kingdom Hearts is a big seller, has a big fan base. Disney is the hottest thing right now, despite you want to say about their movie quality and how cookie cutter it is. Anything with Disney logo slapped on it is going to fucking sell. So when you have a roster of those Kingdom Hearts characters and then a roster of Capcom characters, I mean, I know the licensing would be a bitch between Disney and Square Enix, but if they could capture that, I think that might be a new thing, definitely for sure. Trying to tangle the crossover mechanics of like an appeal, because like you said, Namco has the anime, you know what I'm saying, and then the Dragon Ball Z Arc systems, and then NetherRealm has all the American IPs, pretty much movie IPs, etc. And so I mean, even Blast Blue Cross Tag Team Battle had Ruby, and these other, and Persona. So I think that cross, and then Super Smash, self-explanatory. They're making all the fan dreams come true, all the fan battles come true. So that pool of crossover appeal is shrinking because everyone's snatching up the IPs and everyone's snatching up, the ideas of something like that. There really isn't. I would say Capcom would do a nice, like, it wouldn't have an appeal in Japan, but a nice, like, let's just say like a 90s childhood Cartoon Network brawler, you know what I'm saying, or they can't touch Warner Brothers, but like a cartoon series to, like, but I mean that's kind of accomplished in Mugen anyway. I was Kingdom Hearts versus Street Fighter would be, Kingdom Hearts versus Capcom I think would be the most ideal leftover crossover appeal that they could have to get that mainstream success, and then also get the 3v3, and then you can have that chaotic fun that was to be had before. Can you imagine like Genie doing the assists? You know what I'm saying? You could control Aladdin with his swords or whatever like that. I mean, I know you couldn't make it too violent because it's Disney, but like, like Elsa with her ice powers would be like Sub-Zero, and gameplay mechanics and shit like that. So I think that would get a lot of people interested of all ages too, because if they're not Kingdom Hearts fans, they're Disney fans. And to see, a very colorful 2D game featuring, where you could pair up, let's just say Beast and then Elsa and then Genie or Aladdin in a tag team, you know what I'm saying, brawling against Mickey Mouse and Sora and Goofy, all that crossover appeal would reach a stratosphere outside of gaming and have eyes on that project. I think that would be their most ideal crossover game. I can't really think of any other mashup that hasn't been done or isn't being touched by anybody else, with the exception of WWE. And we know that wrestling, they would not capture wrestling right. We know NetherRealm Studios would probably be better off with that.
Actually, come to think about it, okay, so a Square Enix versus Capcom could work. They haven't done this. There hasn't been an actual standalone Sega. There's been a crossover of Sega, Namco, and Capcom in a game called Project. I forgot, Project something, but it was for the DS. And it wasn't. It was a good game, but it's more RPG element stuff. Like, it really wasn't something that you can actually tack on and press square, triangle, whatever the fuck, right? But that would have been great if Capcom would have done something with Square Enix or done something with Sega alone. Like, And it doesn't always have to be Street Fighter, but yeah, you can, give everybody else a chance to go at it and stuff like that, but Capcom, if anything else, if they can't take WWE, they're going to take AEW. If not, yeah, they will take. It'll be a Capcom versus AEW, and AEW, you can see Kenny Omega versus off with Ken or Ryu and shit like that. So I mean, like it's always, if not AEW, man, they already got the market in there. They got New Japan Wrestling over there, so they could just really do that. I mean, you got that going on. Like there's a lot of things that Capcom still hasn't touched. They still got a little, they still got a fight in the battle. But I feel like coming back to work with SNK again, or re-up in Tatsunoko, or just letting their IPs go with Power Rangers, something in it along the fight, along the line, stuff like that. Or like I said, I don't know how they. I mean, it's already been done in Smash Brothers, but they can go in above and beyond and do a strictly Nintendo versus Capcom. They can do that.
They could.
But I mean,
I wouldn't see the appeal since Smash is Smash, and the fighting game fans already, the pure fighting game fans are already like, ugh, like they don't consider Smash, they don't respect Smash. So having Nintendo come over, I think could. I mean, to see Mario and them, they're already in the platformer, so I don't think it'd be that much of a big deal for them to jump 2D, just purely on a classic 2D gameplay level. I think they're so ingrained in that Smash mechanics that if you take them out of it, I think there isn't much of, I don't think there's a good amount of an appeal for that, to take them out the Smash Brothers mechanics and put them in a straight 2D brawler. And I mean, some of these people already done these matchups in Mugen anyway. You know what I'm saying? They've been created Mario, Luigi, and all these other characters you can download for free and have them fight Ryu in this free fantasy fighting game. What could Capcom do to really elevate it and make it special where you want to pay $60, $50 for the almost an exact same experience you could pay for free if you download this software and download that character and put him in the game?
I mean, shoot, that's right, but shoot, just to end things off, I just wanted to throw out no restrictions. Put Capcom in anything. What would you like to see Capcom collaborate with? Or collaborate with who? Or which franchise, any franchise. Open doors to anything.
Out of everything out there, of course, we want to see the fan debate settled with Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat. I think that would be the number one thing out there where everyone would be like, yeah, I want to see Ryu versus Scorpion, 2D style, and you know what I'm saying, like, and make it just classic, man. Just make it a classical, cool game, man. That's the matchup everyone's always wanted to see. I'm not sure if it's still there now, but back in that PlayStation 1 arcade era, in the Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat going at it was a real dream for a lot of these, and a real fantasy to see for a lot of these fans, man. Other than that, dude, for a crossover, it would be kind of cool if you would get like Resident Evil mixed with like maybe like Metal Gear Solid or something like that. I think that'd be kind of interesting. Some shooter crossovers. I think shooting crossovers, the way Fortnite does it, I think putting something like Solid Snake in the Resident Evil universe and Raiden and his cast of characters, I think that'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of interesting. In terms of anything else, dude, maybe they can make some cool. I really like to see some of these classic. Just make the ultimate beat 'em up game, a Smash Brothers of beat 'em ups, where they just bring back every single beat 'em up game that they had, remaster it, compile it into one game, and maybe some crossover, some guest characters. I think a Smash Brothers of beat 'em up side scrollers, 4 players, would be a really cool party game, like Scott Pilgrim meets Super Smash on steroids, dude. I think that'd be really freaking wicked.
Okay. Coming from the NetherRealm Studios, stuff like that. I mean, Marvel already's got their chance. I mean, why not DC versus Capcom? I mean, that workout. I feel like that'll ante up because Marvel's already got their shot. So let's see what DC could do with Capcom. Yeah. As for other genres and stuff like that, honestly, I think Darkstalkers will work well with Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, Darkstalkers. Yeah,
So yeah, that could work out. Then you've got, let's see, I would love for Resident Evil and Silent Hill to combine. So let's bring both hells together. Yeah, I would like Pokemon versus, or not, Pokemon and Monster Hunter to come together.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would destroy the internet. The internet will blow up. You got Pokemon and Monster Hunter, so we'll be like Pocket Monster Hunter.
Pocket Monster Hunter. That would be a freaking crazy. Pokemon have to update their freaking models though. I'm not. Capcom would have to do some work on that.
Look at Detective Pikachu. So like, I mean, can you imagine you're a Pocket Monster Hunter, but you're carrying on a Pokemon to fight the bigger monster,
What you just mentioned makes perfect sense. You put that Detective Pikachu, or even that trailer with the dark Pokemon, the realistic Pokemon, it would never happen. But if you would have that Detective Pikachu in that trailer that had the dark, edgy Pokemon, that style of realism, and you would apply it to Monster Hunter, and then you can make some weird world combining type shit. I think that would be, that would be really dope. That would be dope to see Pokemon evolve and make them look different and make some of the gameplay mechanics different, and to evolve Pokemon into the next level. Because I know Pokemon is huge, and it would be nice to see them get a push to some next level gaming. They've been stuck in the 2000s. It's good classic RPG gaming. It's, but to put in the modern era would be nice. It would be nice to up the ante and put Pokemon in the modern era, reskin them, rebrand them. But that's a money making machine, and that's a pipe dream. But that would be a cool dark twist on the franchise for sure, man.
It will blow up the internet for sure. Final fight in Streets of Rage.
Yes, that would be dope.
Put those two fighting genres together, or beat 'em up genres together for a big collaborative plan. That takes place. Where you got Guy and Cody collaborate with Adam and Alex and shit. Shoot, I'm trying to think of some more other stuff. I feel like Mega Man and Beautiful Joe to be a part of the world. There's this game out there that was on the Wii U that didn't sell very well, so it made itself it made itself available on the Switch. It was something 101.
I can't recall it.
Yeah, but it was like you play as like 101 superheroes and stuff like that. So if you were to put like Mega Man and Beautiful Joe to be a part of that world, which would be pretty dope. If not, then you can do something completely different with that. But
Well, since you mentioned Pokemon, Mega Man and Digimon.
yeah.
The world.
But yeah, put those worlds together. You can, or shit, Digimon, or shit. If you would do Digimon, then yeah, you put them in with Monster Hunter too.
Yeah, that could work too. Digimon character designs work better than Pokemon, but the Pokemon is just more iconic, and it's more, it's just, we want to see that. We already know we can see Digimon real. We get it. We get in our heads, but Pokemon still make that full transfer of gameplay would be dope. Yeah.
I would like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta
Yeah.
as a straight team up story line, whatever the fuck. Both demon fighters, so they were to team up.
Probably get married.
And probably get married. That's what they'll probably do. But that'd be a dope concept. Yeah, and Capcom. What else is there? What other properties I could think of?
Pretty much named their biggest, best ones.
I mean, yeah, well, you still got. I would like to see Onimusha team up with Dynasty Warriors. So be it like a Onimusha Warriors,
Okay.
and you could bring Okami in there with it to be a part with the cameo to be a part to be one of the selective characters to fight in Dynasty Warriors.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be hella fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and hell, man, for some shits and giggles and shit like that, put Luigi Mansion in Ace Attorney.
Ace Attorney. Yeah, you got to mention Phoenix Wright at some point.
Phoenix Wright.
Objection.
Yes, some sort of court trials type nonsense. So like, I don't know. Like, it'd be funny to see Phoenix Wright in the Mushroom Kingdom, you know, and trying to find out who did who or why. Like, we could do a case where Mario is missing, and Phoenix Wright's got to try to solve the case, and who's going to find out who's responsible for Super Mario. Was it Luigi? Was it Bowser? Was it Peach?
Yeah.
You know,
Featuring Detective Pikachu.
yeah, Detective Pikachu and Ace Attorney. Sold. I'm buying. Day one buy. Oh, fuck it. Day one buy. I'll buy it. Fuck it. That's a winner right there, man. Cut the check.
Cut the check.
But yeah, man, that's my dream matchup for Capcom and all known franchises and properties.
All right, man. That's what's up. I mean, for all you listeners out there, let us know what are your favorite Capcom titles and what are your dream Capcom crossover games, and what do you expect for the next gen? I mean, what IPs would you like to see come to the next generation of consoles? And that does it for today's episode. Thank you for lending your ears for another episode of Homeboy Talk.
It's ORRION getting ready to end things off. Like and comment, dislike if you ain't feeling the content. Download the discussion from SoundCloud. Big shout out to you for being a part of the crowd. Follow us on every popular social media platforms in the discussion below. Orion Online, offline.
And that's the bottom line, because Homeboy Talk said so.